record on the computer. Terrific. Welcome, everyone. This is number 15, I think, in the Tuesday Travel Tuesday that I've been doing, having travel partners come on. And, you know, while we're stuck not being able to travel very much right now, we certainly want to dream today and travel tomorrow. And I'm fortunate to have my partner Neil Dudley join us from AMA Waterways. I have this wonderful background from the AMA Magna ship. I don't know if you can see the ship in the background. Neil is joining us. He's been doing a lot of Zoom calls, haven't you, Neil?
I have. I do multiple ones a day. It seems I work more virtually now than I do live. So
it's incredible. He and I were just going over a travel advisor presentation he did with some colleagues the other day too. So before we get started, I know a couple of you have done AMA cruises, and Frances has done one, and there's one coming up, right, Frances?
Yeah, if it's not canceled.
She's had one canceled already, Neil, and she's really hoping the Portugal one goes ahead in October.
Yep.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I don't know. We're hoping.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Anyone else on the call? So. Anyone else on the call who's done an AMA yet?
No.
Well, you're in for a treat today. We have a great presentation from Neil, and you'll learn all about AMA. We'll have some questions at the end. And with that, Neil, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Sheila. So hopefully you're all seeing on the screen there.
On a Zoom thing. Everything okay?
Okay, I'm just gonna mute everyone and then I'll unmute Neil. Just one sec.
Yeah.
Just so we can hear the presentation, and then we'll unmute at the end. Okay, go ahead, Neil.
Perfect. Thanks. So I'm going to go through a bit about AMA Waterways for all of you. Give you a little highlight as to an overview of our products, plus obviously some of the updates that have happened as a result of COVID going on as well. And just to kind of show you what the plan is for this year, for next year, and for even into 2022. So AMA Waterways is a family-owned and operated company. It's two main families since our inception 18 years ago. Actually, our birthday was on Canada Day. So you've got Rudy and Christine there on the left-hand side, husband and wife team from Germany and Austria. And they really bring a lot of great in-depth knowledge to our main destination, of course, which is Europe. And then you've got the Murphys on the right-hand side from the USA. And it's an internationally owned and operated company. And that truly is reflected in the product itself. Now, for those of you not been on a river cruise, river cruising is a very inclusive style experience, especially with AMA Waterways, where there's actually nothing mandatory for you to have to pay for once you get on board your river cruise experience. Now, I always make the assumption that a lot of people who are listening to the presentations, whether it's live or whether it's virtual, of course, they've probably done an ocean cruise. And there's an interesting fact out there that 93% of people, once they take a cruise vacation, they continue to take another cruise vacation. So a lot of people have done the Caribbean, they've done Alaska, they've done the Mediterranean, and they were looking for their next evolution in cruising. And that's why river cruising has really taken off over the last 3 or 4 years, because those people were really looking for their next step in their cruise vacations. And we recognize that, started making a lot of changes and upgrades to our river cruise fleet to really welcome the ocean cruisers on board our vessels and try to make them a lot more flexible, have a lot more of the freedoms that the ocean cruises have, but still keep with that inclusivity that river cruising is known for. So you're going to hear me make some comparisons to the ocean cruising world, but of course, one big one of is that oceans take you to the countries, where rivers truly take you through the countries, because all of the cities and towns that we stop in have been built around the rivers for centuries, dependent on the rivers for their trade, for their basically for their transportation and such. And we on a river cruise take you to a different port of call each and every day. Now, of course, river cruising has a couple of other very distinct differences to our ocean cruising cousins. The first one being the size. Obviously, a much smaller, much more intimate environment. In fact, with AMA Waterways, we actually have an average of 156 guests on board our ships. And another thing to keep in mind, and this is really just more because of the COVID situation that is occurring, and a lot of people have questions about this. River cruise ships are very different to ocean cruise ships in the fact that we only use fresh air systems on board our ship. There are no recirculated air systems whatsoever. So any of that contamination or contagion that you've heard about in the media with cruising, it can only happen on an ocean ship It can't actually happen on a river cruise ship. And that's part of the reason why so many people are still booking their river cruise experiences for next year, for 2022. And like I said, we've got people holding out hope that the European Union will have us sailing for the latter part of this year as well. Now at Alma Waterways, we're a very innovative style company, so much so that Rudy down there in the bottom right-hand corner, he's not just one of our owners, but he's actually the designer and architect of every single one of our ships. Now in our industry, he's actually considered the godfather of river cruising because he's always bringing out something new, revolutionary over to the field that the other cruise lines look at and decide to follow. And one of the biggest ones was with regards to the draft of our ship. Now, river cruising sometimes has to deal with something that our ocean cruising cousins do not, and that is sometimes water levels being too high or too low on some of the main rivers over in Europe. So Rudy, knowing about this, actually designed our ships to have the shallowest draft of any river cruise line. We only need between 4 and 6 feet of water underneath us in order to be able to cruise, while every other river cruise line needs between 8 and 12 feet of water. And oftentimes it is just a matter of mere inches determining whether or not you are actually able to river cruise. So it's just a good little piece of knowledge to know that you're in the best position possible to always get your river cruise experience with us. Now, hopefully you're seeing this little video on the screen, but it's been Rudy's lifelong dream to be involved in river cruising. There he is right there. And this is his very first river cruise experience, folks, back in 1975 on the Amazon. So yes, it is live footage, but for those of you who have not been on Alma Waterways, fear not, we've come a long way since Rudy's very first experience. There's no more manual labor involved in your luxury river cruise experience. This is actually what your river cruise experience will look like today. So that's just a little glimpse into the Alma Waterways experience today that you're going to see. And the nice thing again is that Rudy designed his fleet to be a fleet of sister ships. So everything you just saw in that video exists on each and every one of our ships. You don't have to worry about when the ship was built, which features exist on which ship. They are a fleet of sister ships, ensuring the same onboard Alma Waterways experience no matter where you cruise with us. And the true testament to this was just back in 2018, Berlitz, which is the largest producer of travel books in and around the world, they actually ranked all 320 river cruise ships that sailed the rivers of Europe from number 1 right down to number 320. So you can imagine as a company, we were quite thrilled that 10 of the top 15 positions all went to different Alma Waterways ships. Just going to show no matter which ship you're on, you really are getting that same onboard experience. Now, a little bit about Alma Waterways, because of course, right now we are having people questioning about whether it's time to book a river cruise, and they're worried about, of course, some travel companies, whether they're going to make it past the COVID situation, as I'm sure you've heard a lot of media stories and some travel companies not making it through. So perfect opportunity to tell you a bit about the sustainability of Alma Waterways as a company. Now, yes, we are a family-owned and operated company, but we do have a few key investors, including the largest travel corporation in the entire world as one of our key investors. We just went through the fact that we've got 25 ships, and I can tell you a river cruise ship costs between $35 and $70 million per ship to build. And every time we build a ship, we pay for it in cash up front. We carry no debt when we're building our ships. We don't use any creditors in order to finance the building of our ships. So of course, folks, you don't have to be an accountant to figure out, but having about 25 ships, that gives us about $1 billion in assets. And that makes for a very sustainable company. We will be here long after the COVID situation. And we are the only river cruise line who is solely dedicated to river cruising. We do not have a coach tour division. We do not have an ocean cruise division to worry about. Our sole focus is providing the best luxury river cruise experience possible. Now, part of that innovation is also on the inside of the ship, where Rudy wanted to bring over that beautiful balcony experience that the ocean ships have been doing for years and years, but really perfect that balcony experience. So in the picture here, you see the couples able to stand outside, enjoy all of the lovely views. But what happens when the weather's not so nice? Maybe it's a bit cooler, maybe it's raining outside. That's where we have the matching mirrored indoor balcony with a table, 2 chairs, French balcony design doors, so that no matter what the weather, no matter what the temperature, you're always able to enjoy that beautiful balcony experience. But this innovation also allows us to do something no other river cruise line can do, and that is to offer triple accommodation in our twin balcony suites as well, much like you might be used to finding on an ocean ship. Now, on all of our river cruise ships, we've got 3 levels of accommodation. You've got the twin balcony suites, you've got the French balcony suites, and you've got the picture window staterooms. 170 up to 355 square feet, but no matter what cabin type you take, you've got the iMac entertainment system. Now, it has all your standard entertainment features, but it also has access to the internet. Now, Wi-Fi is complimentary throughout your entire cruise, no matter what device you decide to bring. But sometimes we know that our guests don't want to bring laptops with them on vacation. And with Alma Waterways, you don't need to do so, because the iMac entertainment system will act as your own personal computer. You can see that floating keyboard sitting there in the bottom left-hand corner. So sit wherever you like, have full access to the internet, and no need to bring your laptops with you on vacation. But again, being the innovators that we are, we were the first and still the only river cruise line to have our own app dedicated for you, our clients, to use both before, during, and after your river cruise experience. So beforehand, yes, you can get your documents. You can find out all sorts of information on the ship and the cruise you'll be taking. But my favorite part of this app is the photo taking capability. Now, I will assume each and every one of you on this call has taken a guided tour at some stage in your life, especially if you are working with Sheila. She'll take you on many of her group tours. So that means you've listened to a tour guide take you around an area and tell you all about those beautiful sites. They tell you about that beautiful castle, and they tell you all about the history, and you take a picture to remember that. And you carry on your tour a little bit more, and they tell you about that beautiful church over there. And they tell you all about the history, and you take a picture to remember that. And you get back home after your 1 or maybe your 2-week vacation, and you start looking back through your hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and you look back through some of these going, I have absolutely no idea what that is, let alone why I took a picture of this thing. Well, folks, if you take all of your pictures now through the My Alma Cruise app, all of the notes that the tour guide gave you on that day can automatically be linked to the pictures you took that day. Form into your own digital photo album for you to look at for years and years, and remember every part of your Alma Waterways river cruise experience. Now, on board the ship, of course, you've got multiple lounges to relax in, just like you would find on an ocean ship. This is a shot of the main lounge. We've got a little smaller, intimate library, some books to read, a little fireplace, and on the opposite side is our 24-hour cafe with coffee, tea, espresso stations. And we serve tapas throughout the entire day in each and every one of our lounges, complimentary for you to enjoy as well. Now, on board, there is drinks are always included with all of your meals. But what we discovered is about 80% of our guests would go off on one of their included sightseeing tours, and they'd come back in the middle to the late part of the afternoon, and they'd go down to their cabins, start getting ready for the cruise manager's port talk, which happens each and every evening before dinner. And that's when about 80% of our guests were actually purchasing a drink from the bar, whether this was alcoholic or non-alcoholic. So in 2018, we decided to include these as well. We're calling it our Sip and Sail program, but essentially it's a happy hour. It's unlimited beverages, whether these are alcoholic or non-alcoholic, leading right up until dinner time begins. Now, this is a shot of our main restaurant. It's got 170 seats inside, and we normally would take 156 guests on board our ships. What that means, it's open seating. Come and dine whenever, wherever you like. Tables of 2, 4, 6, or 8 for you to enjoy. Now, breakfast and lunch are set up as a buffet, but folks, with Alma Waterways, you never have to do a buffet if you don't wish to do so. A la carte menu ordering is always available. But with the COVID situation going on, I can tell you there have been a couple of enhancements. First of all, to our cruises and to the food safety on board. Now, remember, folks, with a river cruise ship, we have to deal with the rules and regulations and the health and safety standards of the countries we are traveling through. Unlike the ocean cruises, who once they're in international waters, they don't have any specific country standards that they have to abide by. So in this case, the European Union put down that any river cruises operating this year will have no more than 100 guests on board. So obviously, with the number of seats that we've got in the main restaurant, plus we've got these private wine rooms to the left and to the right-hand side, which seat about 8 to 10 guests. And we've got the chef's table at the back of the ship, seats about 28 guests, and it's a totally different menu than what you're going to find in the main restaurant. But folks, when you take into account all of these different included dining venues, we were being socially distant long before we were ever told we had to do so, or before it was ever a cool experience to have. So it's never a problem when you are on board the river cruise ships. And that's the nice thing about why part of the reasons why people are happily and confidently booking river cruises for this year, next year, and into 2022. Now, food is something we are very proud of, but we always want to make sure you're getting that full, authentic culinary experience. And the way that we're doing this is that the chefs design their menus based on the region we are traveling through. They actually get out and shop locally in the markets each and every day. We don't have freezers on board, so this really ensures that you're getting a full, authentic European culinary experience. And this was recognized by Standar, which is the oldest gastronomic society in the world. And any true 5-star restaurant really does want this accreditation attached to their menus. It's based on a restaurant's food, wine, and service. And folks, we are the only river cruise line to have ever been awarded this designation. So that just goes to speak to the food that you're going to get on board your Alma Waterways river cruise. Now, we know people are a lot more health conscious these days when they're traveling. We can take care of any sort of dietary request. In fact, you're even going to find detox water stations of the day, gluten-free snack corners scattered throughout the ships. And our owner, Christine, decided to take the wellness concept to the next level. And that's by being the first and still the only river cruise line to have a full-time wellness host on every single one of our ships, including our ship down in Southeast Asia as well. Now, these wellness hosts will offer complimentary classes for you to enjoy, whether that is a yoga class in the morning or a stretching or a TheraBand class in the afternoon. You can even sit down with a wellness host for a one-on-one session, and they can help you to develop maybe a nutrition plan or a fitness plan for you to take back home with you after your river cruise experience as well. Now, all sorts of other amenities for you to enjoy. If you're the kind of cruiser who likes to get a massage or get your hair done, there are those services on board. We've got a fitness center on every single one of our ships, as well as about 20 or 25 bikes, free of charge for you to take out in any port of call, should you wish to do so. But probably our most popular area of recreation happens to be the rooftop heated pools we have in all of our ships over in mainland Europe. Over in France, our ships are a bit smaller, hot tubs up in the top area, but again, a great area for you to relax. Now, folks, with river cruises, in case you have not been on, this is something very different to an ocean cruise experience. The cruise managers might tell you about an amazing vintage of wine or a special liqueur that's only available in that next port of call. Folks, you can purchase that, bring it back on board the ship, and enjoy it wherever you like, including up at the pool. There's even a bartender up there to take care of your every need as well. Now, I do often get asked a couple of questions about the pool, like when is it open? It is open 24/7 the entire time you are cruising, and it is open our entire season from March right up through till the end of December when we do those famous Christmas markets cruises. Now, yes, we do tend to turn the temperature up a bit more in our November and December sailings. But folks, if you are going to take advantage of one of our famous Christmas markets cruises, I always like to encourage my fellow Canadian guests, please bring your swimwear, go up and enjoy the pool, because it's the perfect opportunity for you to meet your fellow Canadian travelers, because we're the only ones using the pool at that time. Now, as far as tours go, of course, there's a guided sightseeing tour included each and every day. And in the larger cities and towns, we actually give you a choice of different activities, and we allow you to choose what you would like to do. Now, maybe you've been to a couple of these cities before. It allows you to see something different the last time you were there. And folks, we put no more normally on our regular tours, we always like to keep it to an intimate experience. We put no more than 20 guests per tour guide. But for the 2020 touring season, due to COVID, we are actually putting no more than 10 guests per tour guide. So that could be a regular sightseeing tour, whether it's done on foot or done on coach. It could be a guided cycling tour. We have at least one of these on every single one of our cruises. Could be a guided hiking experience led by our wellness hosts, or it could be a specialty tour going off to maybe a culinary school or a winery that area is known for. And if any of you have any sort of mobility issues, please note we always have a gentle pace tour going for each and every tour so that you don't have to feel the pressures of a regular tour group. Conversely, we always have an active pace tour going as well. So you can always decide the fitness level for each and every one of your tours. Now for our tours, we utilize the Quiet Box system. It's a very slender device, fits into your pockets. The tour guides have that little microphone that they speak into, and you've got the earpiece so you don't have to worry about huddling around the tour guide to hear what he or she is saying. But part of that innovation is that Rudy has been working with the owners of the Quiet Box, and we have actually developed our own version, which will be making its debut in 2021, which will actually have self-guided GPS touring available in it as well. So that's going to be on selected cruises starting in 2021. So again, you're able to go off, enjoy, wander around on your own, and still get that guided touring experience as well. Now, as far as where we cruise, we cover all the main rivers of Europe: the Main, the Rhine, the Danube, the Moselle rivers, all the rivers in France, the Douro in Portugal, and a few exotic destinations outside of continental Europe. Now, currently, our season is suspended until the 15th of September. Actually, that was just extended till the end of September today. But there is some very positive signs for river cruising, folks. We actually started our first cruise last week for our European guests who are actually able to join our river cruises. So when even though we are suspended, it's really that we're suspended for our international passengers. So our guests from North America, from South Africa, from Australia, all of those destinations, because currently they're really not able to get into Europe without any sort of quarantine. So we are hoping that we will be sailing by the beginning of October, but really we're just waiting on the European Union as to whether or not they are going to open the skies up. So, but the encouraging signs is that the attractions are open, the rivers are flowing. Like I said, we start our second river cruise next week for our European passengers. So we're very excited that we are cruising. We're really just hoping to be open soon enough in October for our North American guests to join on as well. Now, this is just a couple of copies of our brochure. And of course, Sheila has access to all of these. She can send these to you, the links and such. Our 2020 catalogs, our 2021, and even our 2022 programs are out. They're actually out about 6 months earlier than they normally would be. And that's because we were suspended for, currently for 5 months. And I can tell you right now that about 80% of those guests rebooked their river cruise for 2021 or for 2022. So as a result, next year, we're already sitting at 72% capacity. Normally at this stage of the year, I would be sitting probably around 30%. So yes, we are filling up very quickly. And yes, it is due to a lot of people rebooking, but we also have a lot of guests booking new river cruises into 2021 as well. So keep that in mind, because you might actually get in touch with Sheila and find out that some of our river cruises in May and September for next year are already sold out. So keep that in mind for that. And like I said, we have brought 2022 out as well. Now, again, just to give you full peace of mind, of course, when you are booking, we have had to enhance our health and safety standards, again, because we are cruising through those countries, and whatever those countries say, we must abide by. So when you actually get your documentation, you'll actually get a medical questionnaire that you have to fill out online and submit. The day of embarkation, there'll be a secondary in-person questionnaire, which you will have to go through with our medical professional that is there as well. The crew have to do this as well. Now, I mentioned the enhancements to food safety. No longer will there be buffets that are self-service. There will be no-touch buffets served to you by our restaurant staff from behind plexiglass walls. And side-by-side docking sometimes has to happen with river cruises. No guests will be able to disembark by walking through another river cruise ship. They will have to go up and over the top deck. Again, just further ensuring that there's absolutely no outside contamination during your river cruise experience. So as far as where we cruise, like I said, we mentioned all of those rivers. The Danube, probably one of our most popular cruises, 7 to 14 night experiences. And you'll find cruises between Vilshoven and Budapest. Budapest down through to Bucharest, and the longer 14-night cruises from Amsterdam all the way down to Bucharest. But the Grand Danube, definitely our most popular because it really brings in the best of the West and the best of the East. So a 14-night cruise between Bielshoven and Bucharest. Of course, you've got the Rhine River. You've got 7, 10, and 12-night experiences taking between Amsterdam and Basel. And of course, those longer cruises, which will actually include the Moselle River. So you get beautiful journeys through Trier, in through to Luxembourg, of course, over into Belgium. And with all of these cruises, you can actually do pre and post packages in Switzerland or up into the Netherlands as well. The third section of the brochure is dedicated to the country of France. Now, over in France, we actually have 3 rivers, and these rivers are not connected like the rivers are over in Europe. So we have one ship currently on each of these 3 rivers. So we've got one ship over on the Seine, one ship down on the Bordeaux, and one ship over on the Rhone rivers. But slightly smaller ships with 140 guests, intimate passenger, a bit more of an intimate count, of course, over here. But this is one I do want to highlight, the Taste of Bordeaux, because I'm not sure whether you are aware, but Sheila is going to do a lovely group next year. The 11th of November, please tell me I wrote that date down right, Sheila.
Yes, you did, yep.
There are some amazing group savings as well. So whenever Sheila is actually able to take a group, whatever our early booking offers are, there's some great group offers. And I know that the savings right now is up to about $900 Canadian, free prepaid gratuities. And I believe, Sheila, you also have picked a virtuoso amenity sailing. So she gets an extra amenity for all of the guests. Now, these savings are dependent on when you book. So the earlier you book with Sheila, the more chance she's going to be able to guarantee all of these offers. Unfortunately, the longer you wait, the savings could go down because this is generally the means with river cruising in general and with the groups. The earlier you book, the better offers you are going to receive. So folks, if you are interested in the Bordeaux, and it's an absolutely amazing experience, that is a great time of year to certainly go over on the Bordeaux cruise. So I'm sure Sheila will be in touch with you about that particular group sailing that she has as well. And like I said, this is the 3rd river that we've got, but in 2021, we're actually adding to our French fleet of ships. 2 more ships will be joining our fleet to offer some slightly longer cruises over on the Seine and one through the heart over on the Rhone and Saône as well. 4th section in our brochure is dedicated to the Douro Valley, World UNESCO listed heritage site in the northern part of Portugal, where we actually added a 2nd ship to our Portuguese fleet last year just due to the demand. So you've got 2 different 7-night journeys in between Porto and Vega de Tron with options to extend your stays in Portugal and in Spain. You'll also find some specialty river cruises in our brochure, including the Tulip Time river cruises happening in March, April, and early May. But due to demand, we actually had a lot of guests actually asking us if we would do the best of Holland and Belgium throughout the entire year. So that is other cruise that we have. But one thing I want to mention is that in 2022, Floriade is happening, and Floriade is the largest horticultural exhibition in the world. It happens every 10 years, and it will be taking place in Amsterdam for 6 months, with one of the highlights being how to be a green city in Amsterdam. And all of our cruises, including our Tulip Time and our Best of Holland and Belgium, are going to include a full day's excursion off to the Floriade Expo. So if that is something that is of interest for 2022, again, be in touch with Sheila, and she can certainly set you up with a river cruise, which will include an excursion off to Floriade. And of course, the Christmas Markets cruises, which I mentioned earlier, my absolute favorite river cruise experience. Folks, Europe does Christmas up unlike anywhere else in the world. And in addition to all the regular river cruise inclusions, each and every day, you get to see a very unique Christmas market from every city and town that we stop in. And there are some great triple savings offers, both for this year and for next year, that are available as well. Now, a few other programs I want to mention quickly are some that are exclusive to us, including our wine river cruises. In fact, we're the only company with a dedicated wine river cruise program where we bring a North American wine host over onto the cruises. They do some tastings and comparisons between the New World wines and the Old World wines, plus a few extra included excursions off some exclusive chateaus and wineries along the way. And outside of continental Europe, we've got a couple of other amazing products. We were actually the first North American river cruise line to cruise down on the Mekong. It's an area we want to really bring over, and truly is an incredible area to river cruise because there are things you can only see from a river cruise. Floating villages, floating markets, floating schools. It's a 7-night experience on the Mekong River with pre and post packages in southern Vietnam and up into Cambodia. But if you're going to go, I really encourage my fellow Canadian travelers, please do the full 15-night package. to take advantage of going up to northern Vietnam with Hanoi and Halong Bay. Very different cultural experience to southern Vietnam because they did not come out of communism for about 25 years after southern Vietnam. So it's different stages of evolution, truly an incredible experience. Now in 2016, we built a brand new ship called the Amadar. It replaced our old ship because Rudy wanted to make sure that no matter where you river cruise with us in the world, you are getting that same onboard AMA Waterways experience. So the Amadara all have twin balcony suites. They start at 251 square feet, go up to 366 square feet, all the way up to 502 square feet for the luxury suites. Just like our ships in Europe, you've got multiple restaurants on board, which are all included for you to enjoy. And you've got that rooftop pool experience. And I happen to know that Sheila is considering doing a group down on the Mekong. So folks, if you are interested in possibly doing the Mekong, get in touch with Sheila. She can obviously coordinate as to what dates may work best and possibly look at a group departure for you to all look at for that as well. Final destination we have is over in the continent of Africa, where we actually do 2 amazing river cruises now. The first one being our wildlife river cruise over on the Chobe River on the Zambezi Queen. This is a guarantee that you will see all the wildlife in the area because it's the only watering hole between Namibia and Botswana. So all of those animals come to this river every single day to bathe, to feed, and that's where you'll be sitting on the beautiful Zambezi Queen. Now it is a much smaller ship experience. As you can see, in fact, only 28 guests on board, but just like with any of our AMA Waterways vessels, you get that same onboard experience. This is the lead-in Queen Suites on the Zambezi Queen. Now you'll go from 12 up to 28 days, depending on what else you're wanting to tie in to the river cruise, whether that's South Africa, East Africa, Rovos Rail. You can even tie in the Rwanda Gorillas package onto those programs as well. But just before all of the COVID situation happened, in January, we announced that we are going back to Egypt. Now we're very excited about this because cruising on the Nile River is also another incredible experience. Now, we did used to cruise on the Nile, but using somebody else's ship, just like all the different North American river cruise lines do. Rudy, though, no longer wants to bring out any ship with AMA Waterways unless he has been able to design it and can guarantee that you're getting that same onboard AMA Waterways experience. So that is why we're very excited, because we're going back to Egypt on the Nile with our own ship. So it's going to be a 7-night cruise on the Nile with a 3-night package in Cairo before, as well as a night in Cairo at the end of the package. So the full package is a 11-night experience. That's the base package. But of course, there are opportunities to extend your stays and see some other beautiful areas before and after. But your cruise, the 7-night experience, will be on the brand new Amadalia. Now, the Amadalia has 68 passengers. So again, a bit more of an intimate experience. But as you can see, a very similar look to our European ships. Yes, you're going to have all the twin balcony suites, the multiple restaurants, the pool. So we're very, very excited. She makes her debut next September. And another little birdie named Sheila tells me that she's possibly looking at doing a group over into Egypt as well. So folks, if this is an area, we are very excited because it's going to be a similar AMA Waterways experience. And like I said, you are able to add packages before or after the cruise in case you want to see more of that area. You could even do a pre-package in Dubai or over into Jordan, or a post-package over into Israel as well. So, and there are pre and post land packages available for all of our river cruises utilizing 5-star hotels, including sightseeing and daily breakfast as well. And the final product I want to mention is, again, something else exclusive to us. It's the AMA Magna, world's largest river cruise ship ever to be built. It's twice as wide as the regular river cruise ship, and she debuted last year over on the Danube. And it really is designed for to have that ocean ship experience over on the rivers. 4 different restaurants on board, all of which are included, including an alfresco dining experience that you normally would only ever find on a boutique ocean ship. 4 different lounges on board, so multiple entertainment happening, again, just like you would find on an ocean ship, including a private movie theater. It's got a pool, it's got a hot tub, pop-up sky bar as well. It's even got a Zen wellness studio at the back. But folks, we only added another 40 passengers to this ship, so 196 guests. That's only slightly bigger than some 4-star river cruise lines, and that's because the size of the suites start at 355 square feet, go up to 474, all the way up to 710 square feet. Folks, that is boutique ocean cabin size over on the rivers of Europe. Now, of course, all of our prices are in Canadian dollars based on 2 people traveling together. So it's a per person twin share cost, but there are always amazing early booking offers that we put through our cruise spotlight that we distribute exclusively through our valued travel advisors, such as Sheila. So always be in touch to make sure that Sheila will always be in touch to make sure that you've got all of your early booking offers for your particular cruises. There are lots of great offers for 2020, for 2021, and even into 2022. There are some options for the solo travelers as well, including a reduced single supplement and some options, of course, over on the Bordeaux. In fact, on all 4 of our ships sailing over into France, where there's actually 2 dedicated French balcony suites that actually have no single supplements. So there are some great opportunities. And I know oftentimes Sheila has some solos looking to travel. So certainly you can take advantage of that with her Taste of Bordeaux group. But again, there's only 2 of those. So again, do act quickly if you're in that situation. There are, again, great offers, including free airfare, some dollar savings and such, again, depending on whatever cruise you're looking at. And Sheila can guide you through that. But this little piece is one thing I want to mention, and it's called Travel Waiver Plus. And it's something we've actually had in place since the beginning. It really allows you to book with Sheila and travel with absolute peace of mind. You may need to change your cruise for any reason that your insurance might not cover. Now, it just happens that it works perfectly with COVID, but this is something that we've had in place. So if a second wave happens to come through, as long as you've got Travel Waiver Plus, you'll be able to move your river cruise at no cost to you to a future date. But it could work that maybe you've booked on to Sheila's group for next November, and all of a sudden you find out your first grandchild is due that same time frame and you want to be home. Insurance wouldn't cover for that. By having the Travel Waiver Plus will, again, allow you to change. And it really allows guests to book now, which is what a lot of our guests have been doing, is booking their new river cruises, adding that Travel Waiver Plus, and really being able to book with full peace of mind without having to worry about anything that is happening in and around the world. So do keep that in mind. Like I said, Sheila can tell you more about that. But in addition to whatever the early booking offers are, I want to offer you another $200 off per couple. And that includes on Sheila's group or any of our regular sailings, of course. And that's just as a little thank you for listening into our virtual presentation tonight. I mentioned the free prepaid gratuities with regards to Sheila's group, but that is actually in place on almost all of our European cruises for 2021. I happen to know it's sold out on some May and September, but it's pretty much on all the rest of those, and it's good till the end of September as well. But at this stage of the presentation, I think one of my slides is hidden. Just want to make mention that Sheila is part of Vision Travel, but they are part of Virtuoso, which is a larger travel consortia. And as you kind of saw me make mention of on her group, she's got a Virtuoso amenity. She actually has access to about 50 different departure dates. So if you're not able to go on her group for next year, she has a list of about 50 departure dates where she can get a $300 onboard credit on those dates, combinable with whatever our early booking offers are. That really makes this an all-inclusive experience. And remember, that $300 onboard credit is in euros, folks. So now, of course, here's a few questions I do tend to get asked, but I know Sheila can unmute everybody towards the end when we do Q&A if anyone else has any other questions. But one of the major ones is with regards to the weather. People always seem to come up to me and say, Neil, could you please tell me when the rainy season is over in Europe? Because I really don't think I want to book my river cruise when the rainy season is on. Folks, if I knew when the rainy season was on in Europe, I wouldn't let you book a river cruise at that time. Unfortunately, they do not have one. You could get rain in March, you could get rain in August, you could get rain in November. But as you've learned tonight with those beautiful twin balcony suites, no matter what Mother Nature may throw your way, you're gonna have a spectacular river cruise experience. Now, as far as when we sail, it's a mix of day and overnight sailing on each and every one of our cruises. And when we are cruising through that overnight period, we've really tried to focus this on industrial areas, farmlands, things like that, so that you're not missing out on any of the great visual highlights, like the Rhine Gorge or the Douro Valley, for instance, which we would cruise through during the day for you to enjoy. With regards to medical, now there's no doctor's offices on board river cruise ships. All of the staff are first aid trained, and should an emergency situation arise, the captains know where they are at all times. They can have the ships pulled over and tied up within minutes, and either have a doctor waiting to board our ship, or we make use of the nearby land-based medical facilities, so it's never a problem when you are on board. As far as electrical goes, if you're gonna bring any sort of appliance from over here in Canada, whether that's a curling iron or a hair straightener, for instance, please remember it's European voltage throughout the ships, So you will need those little travel adapter and converter kits in order for them to operate properly while on board. There are USB charging ports though in every single stateroom and suite. Now it is a non-smoking vessel in all public and private areas. This does include your outdoor balconies. If you are a smoker, there are a couple of areas on the top open air deck which are designated for smoking. Otherwise, the rest of the ship is non-smoking throughout. Currency, if you are going to purchase anything on board, and like I said, there's not really a lot that you can, maybe get a massage or get your hair done, those prices would be in euros. You would just charge that back to your stateroom and suite. And at the end of the cruise, if you're settling your account by credit card, you'll actually be given the opportunity to pay in Canadian or in euros. But of course, if you've been able to get one of the dates that Sheila can offer you with a virtuoso amenity, any of those extras would be easily covered by that onboard credit as well. And finally, I know Sheila can attest to this as well, but I can tell you folks, if you've never river cruised before, maybe you've only ever ocean cruised, and you look at the river cruise prices and think, oh, those are a bit higher than my ocean cruise that I would normally pay for. Please keep in mind a couple of things. You are traveling over to Europe, of course, where they utilize the euro. With your river cruise experience, as I mentioned, almost everything is included. 97% of our guests come off with a zero charge on your shipboard charge card. And I'm not sure the last time that you were able to come off of an ocean cruise with a zero charge on your shipboard charge card. But I can also tell you, if you were to ask Sheila to price out an independent vacation package going over to all the same destinations that we are covering in Europe, and Sheila puts together the hotels and the transportation to get from point A to point B and takes care of all of the sightseeing and of course all of your meals, I can guarantee that's going to come out a lot more than your river cruise experience. And of course it is in Canadian dollars. So keep that in mind. And of course, very easy to make a booking if you want to join Sheila's group next year for the Taste of Bordeaux or for any other river cruise. Simply get in touch. You put down a deposit within a couple of days of making your reservation, and final payment is not due until 90 days prior to your sailing. So those are the general questions I like to add. But Sheila, if anyone else has any other questions, I think now is the perfect time to take care of any of the other ones. But
Oops, sorry, hang on. I went to hit unmute and I might have muted you by mistake. Sorry.
that is all right. So there's Sheila's contact details up there as well if you need to get anything. But now's the perfect time. I think if anyone has any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. So.
Yes, and everyone can unmute themselves. I'll just go through and ask you, but we have the expert here, so now is the time. While we're waiting to see if there's a question, Neil, do you know the riches and the colors of the Mekong? Is there much difference between those two?
So there's no difference. The one is upstream, one is downstream. And as a result, the flights, which are limited options between Cambodia and Northern Vietnam, you end up with on these, I always get one mixed up. One will, you still get all the same touring, but one has one extra night in Ho Chi Minh City and the other one has one extra night in Siem Reap, but you get all the same touring. It's just a case of flights. But I will recommend going on the downstream journey on the Mekong only because, sorry, did I say downstream? I meant to say upstream. Start your cruise in Ho Chi Minh City, finish it up in Siem Reap. And the only reason I say that is Ho Chi Minh City, big metropolitan Asian city. Yes, it's lovely. It's got lots of history behind it, but I find as you cruise up into Cambodia, your cruise only gets better and better going into rural Vietnam, up into Cambodia. So that's usually the way I've done them both ways, but I'd recommend going the upstream. So. Perfect.
Okay, we have a couple of questions. Melita, do you want to ask yours or you want me to read it?
Yeah, you read it.
Melita's asking, how long is the cruise in November 2021? It's a 7-night cruise, but there's a 4-night pre that you can do. 2 nights in Bilbao and 2 nights in San Sebastian, Spain. And I think there's also an option to add on the Loire Valley and Paris at the end if you choose. So the cruise itself is 7 nights. And you can make it longer with the pre and post.
Okay, thank you.
I will send out details about it tomorrow. Colleen is asking, Neil, are bike helmets provided to people who want to ride bikes?
Yes, they are. So with all of the bikes, you've got locks, you've got helmets, you've got all the safety equipment that is all provided as well. So
awesome. Let me just
And I
go
can tell you
through.
as well, there's on the Bordeaux cruise, there's actually a couple of cycling options, and it's an amazing area for cycling, all sorts of paths along the Bordeaux. It's one of our most popular ones for cycling. So
Fantastic. And Francis, you're already booked on that cruise, so I will make sure you get whatever benefits we're talking about today. Don't worry. Kathleen, you had a question?
Yes, on your list of questions, you skipped over the dress code.
oh, sorry. I do this like a robot sometimes. Dress code. It's a smart casual environment on every single one of our cruises. There are no formalites whatsoever. Now there are events like the captain's farewell reception, things like that. And yes, some traditional cruisers still like to dress up. So you definitely will see some people who will dress up, but there's absolutely no requirements to bring any such formal attire. So just again, cruise as you like to do. The only thing they ask is in the evenings, there's no jeans or shorts in the dining room. So.
Thank you.
B, did you have a question?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. I thought you raised your hand. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Anyone else have a question? Just going through. Okay. Well, Neil, when do you think you might be, obviously no one knows, but any idea when you might make a call about you think September you'd make a call about the fall?
We'll make a call before then, for sure. I mean, at this stage, I know Rudy's been heavily involved with looking at what nationalities are on which cruises, because even though we probably sit about 60% or 65% of our guests being Americans, and about 35 to 40% being international, which includes Canadian, Brits, and Europeans. We have a feeling that Americans are probably going to be a lot longer before Europe lets them in. As a result, even if we were able to operate cruises with the others, we'd have to take into account how many of our international guests are on as to whether we can actually operate that. So I know Rudy's been looking at the departures right up till the end of October. So even if we're operating, it might be limited sailings that we operate if the Americans aren't able to come over and join us. But yeah, at this stage, it's definitely the end of September that we're suspended till. And I would say probably by the middle of August, they will be looking and assessing October. They'll take it 1 month at a time. So they'll assess October at that stage. Like I said, we're operating some right now with European guests. And we actually have some of our Canadian guests who've said, I'm happy to join on to those and come back and quarantine for my 14 days after vacation. So we've even got some options if it happens to be a sailing that we're operating for the Europeans. So it's good news for us that we have some options, but yeah, I'd say by middle of August, we'll probably make an assessment on October.
And as you folks can imagine, while the Americans can't go right now, they're not welcome in Europe. The Canadians are welcome, but they're not going to really run the full North American stream right now, because Canadians are probably 10% of the AMA population on a ship.
We're about 18% actually.
18%.
18, so, almost 20%. So, but yeah, it's unfortunately, if a sailing only had, even if they had a lot of Canadians, it's probably only puts us at, a 25, 30% capacity. There might be some Brits and Europeans, but probably not enough to feasibly operate a cruise. That's going to be the other issue, of course. So, so yeah, we are looking at possibly tagging into some of the European departures for Canadian guests. We're hoping that 14-day quarantine is also lifted by Canada for Europeans, because unfortunately, there is a possibility that Europe rescinds their offer to allow Canadians in, because the understanding was that if they allow Canadians in, Canada was supposed to reciprocate and allow Europeans in with no restrictions, and we didn't lift it. So there is also a possibility in the coming weeks that Europe will actually put Canada back on the block if we are not willing to lift our ban. So yeah. The joys of the political world.
Yeah, and I think you and I were talking previously. It's the German ones that started on July 3rd. It's a German tour operator that's chartered your ship.
That's right. So so we actually had. There is actually a couple of agents in Toronto in Kitchener-Waterloo, where there's a big German population, who actually said, I've heard that this is going. I speak German. I'm more than happy to go on. So we actually sent 6 Canadians over to that first departure.
Oh, you
and
did?
4 Canadians to the other ones because, again, I guess they're retired. They said, we're fine. We can come back. We don't mind coming back and quarantining for 14 days. It's just the 2 of us in our house anyways. So they actually went and joined that cruise. So,
Oh,
I mean,
neat. Okay. Because
the
I was asking
drawback-
you about that the other day, but I didn't realize you already had some Canadians on.
yeah, the drawback, of course, for those ones is they would want to be able to speak German because it's being done in German for those ones. But yeah, we're looking at some for France and some for the UK market as well. So hopefully those come together too.
Cool. So for those of you who've done river cruising or maybe you haven't done before, the announcements and all the instructions would be in German and the tours themselves would be in German. So that's why it's not something, unless you speak German, that you would readily go on, because you wouldn't understand the information unless you spoke German.
Yeah, we're not out advertising that one just yet. It's a bit of a niche market. So
Yeah. Francis is just noting, for anyone who has never river cruised before, this is a wonderful company and there is nothing like this kind of cruising. Thank you, Francis. Francis has done a couple of river cruises. You've sailed with Uniworld and You by Uniworld, and Amma, did you also sail with Scenic, I think?
Yep.
Yep. So she has tried several brands and she's really enjoyed the Amma experience. And I think you mentioned already, Neil, there's a number of solo ladies on the call. Amma is quite friendly to solo passengers as well.
yeah, in France, we've got those options with the French balcony suites, and there is the only reduced supplement on all our other cruises. That's only 25% for the staterooms.
So when he says the French ships, there are 4 ships, the Dolce, the Lyra, the Dante, and the Cello, and they have 2 solo cabins. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. And otherwise, it's a double cabin and it's a 25% solo supplement in certain categories. Any other questions? Well, we have the expert here. I'll just scroll through and make sure. No?
Looks,
Well, Neil.
I do. Just a second. I'm typing.
Oh, okay. Just speak it out loud. It's okay.
Here we go.
Oh, Melita, so for the solo supplement, do you mean only a 25% supplement?
And not a 25% reduction, because the normal is 100%.
Yeah,
Right.
normally on a river cruise, yes, it would be 100%. So for our staterooms, you would only add 25% supplements. Now that's on all the regular cruises. But if you can get on one of those 4 ships, including the ship that Sheila's doing her group on, there are those 2 French balcony suites with no single supplements.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So 125% for certain categories. And then if you go above that category, I think it's 150%, Neil?
Yes, it would be 50% going up to the French balconies, and into the twin balconies, you go up to, it's the 200%. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, and let me just make sure we got all the questions. I think so. Thank you very much, everyone. Neil, thank you, as always, my friend. Really appreciate your time and your energy. Neil has been around the river cruising world for quite some time and knows all the different brands inside out. So pleased to have you with Amma. Would you describe it as a 4.5-star product?
So we are moving up. Actually, Clea ranks us as a 5-star now. So we are ranked as a 5-star river cruise line, modern contemporary look. And to be fair, well, Sheila knows my background, but I worked for Scenic and Emerald for a long, long time as well. So it is very similar to a Scenic experience as well, just with a modern contemporary look on board versus a modern look, but a very comparable experience. So
awesome. Well, thank you very much. I will record this and send the link. I'll be sharing information about the group that I have struck. And if you have interest in that or the other groups that we talked about for the Mekong or Egypt, please let me know. And of course, we have that wonderful show special. Thank you so much, Neil. $200 off per cabin for the next 2 weeks.
you got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay.